Shalom Yasharallah. First and foremost, I want to say all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the house of David. Salutations to you brothers throughout the four corners of the earth, teaching us truth in righteousness and sincerity. To you Israelite foreigners, come back home to the truth. To those that passed on serving the Lord, the dead in Yahweh Shai shall arise first. To you sisters who believe, keep encouraging and supporting your brothers that's out here teaching us truth, and always commemorate the sister who washed Yahweh Shai feet when you read the scriptures. This video is of a personal nature. I'm giving you something I've discussed before, but since so-called Thanksgiving is around the corner, I want to discuss it again. All right. I cannot say that in my time in the truth that I have not gone over a friend's house just because it happens to be Thanksgiving and partake in the festivities, drinks, eating, whatever. But at some point, my spirit about this truth kind of woke up and said, wait a minute, if I'm going there, I might don't be holding hands with people and praying to false gods and this, that, and the third, right? I might don't be in the spirit of Thanksgiving, or I think give thanks to the Most High, the real Most High, in my own prayer. But I'm out there on the same day as Thanksgiving, eating the same shit everybody else is eating, doing everything everybody else is doing, having drinks, watching the football games. And at some point, being set apart has to kick in. We are not supposed to be doing that shit. It don't mean necessarily fast on Thanksgiving, but we are not supposed to be with those people celebrating that day. I have a good friend, like a brother, but he won't get through his mind that what you're doing with inviting me to Thanksgiving dinner, and I love his family and his family loves me. I'm invited. I have an open invitation to Thanksgiving dinner, and I choose to not go to there. I'm going to Atlantic City so I can be by myself. He can't make any sense of it. Like, you actually want to be by yourself on a day that everybody's with their family? Yes. I want to be set apart. I don't want to. That's why I keep getting questions from new friends. I made a lot of friends on this cruise, and one of the most constant questions that I've been getting lately is, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Not doing anything for, I don't acknowledge that worldly Thanksgiving. We are Israelites, and we are supposed to abstain from that shit. Am I going to knock the next brother and say, no, I'm not going to tell another brother what to do. If you're going in the same spirit that I've gone and said, hey, I'm not here for Thanksgiving, I'm here just to be with family, I'm not knocking you. All I'm going to say is think about what the angels in the heavens are thinking. Because I know that there's always, God knows your heart, or the Most High knows your heart. That's always a thing that's true. The Most High does know our intentions, our hearts, how we feel, and why we do the things that we do. But at what point does it become conformity to this world and not simply you just going to get food with friends? That's why I don't do no Friendsgivings. The only times that I really eat turkey is turkey bacon for breakfast or turkey sandwiches. I can't think of any other, or turkey wings. But to carve up a big ass turkey, that's just, definitely not on Thanksgiving. I'll do it. We can celebrate together as a family next week. You know, my immediate family, my mother and father, they don't really celebrate Thanksgiving no way. They're just too lazy to do all the preparation and all the shit that it takes. You know, my family's a real small family. We have a big family, but we don't like, well, I don't personally like most of my family. I would tell you straight up that there are cousins and family members. Matter of fact, my cousin just had twins. She's a lesbian. She got that artificial insemination shit. And to this day, they've been alive a couple months now, and I have not once acknowledged them as my family. But any brother in my camp has a child. That child I look at as my niece or my nephew. I don't even like most of my biological family. That's just how it is. Even if I did, you know, I would find every excuse in the book to not go and celebrate Thanksgiving with them. How are we set apart if we're doing the things of the world? Because a lot of brothers have always been critical of me, saying, "Oh, you're worldly. You think I'm going to add to being worldly by going to a Thanksgiving function, even if I'm not in the spirit of Thanksgiving?" You know, at the end of the day, it is what it is, you know. We are Israelites. We're set apart. We're different. How are you different if you're doing the same? You know, as much as a lot of these men in Israel get criticized, I don't see Johanna going to a Thanksgiving dinner. I don't see Tazaryak. I don't see Zabak going to Thanksgiving. I don't see Zabak holding hands with a whole bunch of family members and praying in English. I don't see that shit happening. If I saw a damn video right now of Zabak carving up a fucking Thanksgiving turkey this Thursday, I would swear by everything that it's AI. I would swear by everything that it's AI. I would not believe that these men that have been in this truth so long, regardless of whatever brothers think about them, I cannot see them, and much less Danya Allah and his camp. I definitely don't believe any of them would even do that shit. Oh yeah, no, you don't have to celebrate Thanksgiving. Just come for a plate and some drinks and shit. Nah, I'm good, brethren. I wholeheartedly believe that that's what would happen. They would say no. So if we say we're in the right doctrine and these men aren't, and these men are abstaining from it, why wouldn't we? You know, listen, you might have an aunt that makes the best baked macaroni and cheese, put a little bit of mustard in it. You know, you might have an aunt that makes the best collard greens. Your mom bakes the best turkey and bakes the shit out of it. You know, your dad makes great candied yams without the marshmallows. You know, your sister makes the best fucking apple pie or whatever type of pie, pumpkin pie. You know, whatever. But they can make that shit for you another time. On Thanksgiving, that's not a day for you to partake in their holidays. You know, and like I said, my friend, who his mom invited me, well, through him to Thanksgiving, and his sister and a whole bunch of people. I'm not going. I'm going to Atlantic City. I will have nothing to do with Thanksgiving. Like I said, I'm not judging brothers because I've done it myself. I've said to myself, oh, you're not celebrating Thanksgiving. It's just a meal. But if you're in the heavens looking at me, you know, if Yahweh Shai is up in the heavens with the angels, I personally believe that they're looking at brothers in the faith and saying, what the fuck are they doing? Maybe not literally those words, but what are they doing? Why the fuck are they doing the same shit everybody else is doing? So if I believe that that's what they're seeing up in the heavens, why would I be part of it? I don't want to be part of that shit. These are false holidays. We call them false holidays every day of the year. Then when they come around, you're like, oh, let's part. I have a daughter that has not ever in her 9 years gotten a Christmas gift from me. And the grandmother doesn't want me to give her a Hanukkah gift because they associate Hanukkah with Jewish. And because they believe in Jesus, they don't understand, right? So it is what it is. My daughter doesn't get a Hanukkah gift. My daughter gets, at best, birthday gifts. And there's going to come a time when I'm going to even explain that to her. Like, I don't really celebrate birthdays, you know, but you've been a blessing ever since you came in my life. So I want you to feel good and loved on your birthdays. Because that's how bad this kingdom is, that if you don't give your child a birthday gift, you don't show up at their birthday party, you know, if you're not over there being introduced, hey, this is my daddy, blah, 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 like, and smiling in white people faces whose children are in school with your daughter. Like, think about the hell that is for us. I'm sitting here looking at a fucking demon in the face and pretending to oh yeah, I'm her dad. Yeah, hi. Fuck out of here. It's hell to have a fake smile. You know, but that's beside the point. I'm talking about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is in 2 days. And although it's not a religious holiday, it's still an American holiday. It's a holiday in a one way or the other. You're celebrating America, right? So then by celebrating America, you're celebrating what America has done to the Native Americans. And in a roundabout sense to our African American brothers and sisters. And you want me to celebrate that shit? See, you might not personally be celebrating that. And that's what my friend whose family has always invited me to their Thanksgiving. They always tell me it's not religion. We're not celebrating it for that reason. Matter of fact, everybody that's ever that knows that I'm an Israelite and invites me over for Thanksgiving, they all say the same thing. At the end of the day, Thanksgiving is the reason for the season. You're doing it on the 4th Thursday of November. You're cooking a turkey. Your practices are consistent with the practices of the entire country ever since there was a Thanksgiving feast, right? So you can make a different reason all you want to. By keeping the same customs, you're not doing nothing different. You're doing exactly the same thing. So no, I reject y'all Thanksgiving. You know, I love my friends that are not in the faith. I love my brothers in the faith, but I'm going to go with my brothers in the faith and not celebrate a false holiday. And there's nothing wrong with you brothers that refuse, right? It's not your holiday. The Lord gave us feast days and holy days, and we need to keep those. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. When the Lord says, I despise your feast days, he's not talking about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving wasn't even invented. When the Lord said that, we were keeping new moons and Sabbaths and Passovers, but we weren't in the right spirit. I will not smell in y'all solemn assemblies. Because these holy days, we weren't keeping for the Most High. We were keeping it for ourselves. You know how Jake is, man. You know niggas are going to go get a plate. So why are we going to be, if the Lord doesn't want us to be niggerish on holy days that he gave us, why would we literally do the same niggerish behavior and go be greedy and stuff our face at a fucking enemy's holiday. It don't make sense. So again, I'm not going to knock a brother because I've taken on the mentality of I'm not going for that reason. So because of that, I didn't feel that I was celebrating Thanksgiving. But when you're an outsider looking in, nigga, you celebrating Thanksgiving. You eating fucking turkey. You're getting together with people. You're literally doing everything that the other people are doing by celebrating Thanksgiving. So what are you doing any different? Anyway, but with that, I hope brothers understand, brothers get enlightened by this information. It's not done to knock anybody. It's done in the spirit of trying to deal with truth. And let's put down the ways of this world. I'm not going to tell, like I said, because I don't want to get into being judgmental. There's a brother out here. I'm not saying that I know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that there's a brother out here that can't afford to miss that meal. There's brothers that are deep in poverty, and that's the one day that they almost are guaranteed a plate. I don't want to say that you're off or wicked. There's brothers that simply, hey, that day is going to give you food for a week. You're going to go to a family member house where your family knows you and loves you, and you're going to bring some cheap soda or something just to be able to say you contributed something, and you're going to walk out of there with a few days worth of food. That brother, I'm absolutely not going to knock. The brother that wants to see his mother, the brother that wants to see his father, the brother that loves his aunt, I'm not going to knock y'all if y'all do it. But I'm not in any of those situations. I don't like anybody in my family, my biological family, other than I don't even really sometimes like my own mother and father. I love them, but I don't always get along with them. But, that's where I draw the line with family. I don't really like a lot of these motherfuckers. They don't give a fuck about me, no way. But like I said, some of you come from close, tight-knit families, and I'm not going to knock or begrudge you, if you go to your family's Thanksgiving dinner knowing that you're not celebrating it, as Thanksgiving. You're just going over there for a plate and to see family members. I'm just saying, me and mine, we're going to do things different. And I'm not going to go to a Thanksgiving celebration knowing damn well what that fucking false holiday means to my Gadite and Reubenite family. You can keep your morals and respect and understand why others may or may not do things the way you do. You can be an Israelite hardcore, and I can be an Israelite hardcore, and I can say I'm not going to knock you for that because I know your intention and the Most High knows your intention. But in my perspective, what I see is looking at Israel. I couldn't imagine Apostle Tahar going to somebody's Thanksgiving and doing that holding hands. No, I can't imagine that. Apostle Gabar, Apostle Orion Lab. Hey, it's a nice day off of work, and that's what I'm taking it at. When I do something on a holiday, I'm not doing it for that holiday. Like, for example, right? If we get we're not going to have to work on Christmas. So if I happen to go to Atlantic City on Christmas, I'm not going for Christmas. I'm just going because I have a day off. And maybe get a room for cheap. That's all it is. But I'm not going because, it's Christmas. I'm not going because of it. I'm just going because I have the day off. You know, but like I said, you know, I don't believe in each his own, but in some cases when it's something that is a gray area, and then you got brothers, to some brothers it's not a gray area, and I agree with those brothers. To me, it's not a gray area. Don't celebrate fucking Thanksgiving. Don't go to people's house who celebrate Thanksgiving. To me, it's not a gray area. But if you really want to dissect the scriptures, in reality, as long as you don't hold hands with somebody praying to that false god, and you yourself don't do, you know, anything pagan, it's not unlawful. I just wouldn't suggest it. That's all I'm saying. You know, it's a holiday that you may go over families' houses. You may not do it for the same reason they're doing it for, but because you're seen doing it by the angels who are writing down what's going on in the sinful kingdom, do you think that the Lord is going to hold you guiltless? I don't think that. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.